Growing up, I was always on the edge of my own family. Not estranged exactly, just not quite in the circle. I'm the middle child in a family of 5, 3 siblings, 2 parents. But for as long as I can remember, it always felt like there was an invisible line I wasn't allowed to cross. My older brother and younger sister were the golden ones. Athletic, charismatic, outgoing. I was the quiet kid, the one who read too much and didn't fit in at family BBQs. I can still remember what my uncle said once when I was 13, standing just a few feet away like I couldn't hear him. He's not like the others, is he? It's like he's adopted or something. No one corrected him, not even my mom. She just gave this weird half laugh and said, "Yeah, he's always been a little different." That word, different, hung over me for years. When I was in college, I finally brought it up to my dad. I asked him why I always felt like the outsider. He shrugged. "You were the hard one to bond with. Your brother's a natural. Your sister's funny, you just kept to yourself." I wanted to scream, maybe I kept to myself because no one ever tried. But I didn't say that. I just nodded. That was the theme of my life. Nod, stay quiet, and get out. So I did. I moved across the country the second I graduated. No announcement, no big goodbye dinner, just a text to my mom. Found a job, leaving Tuesday. Her response? "Good luck, stay in touch." I didn't. Not really. I built my life on my own terms. I started with a low-level tech support job at a small firm. I worked stupid hours, ate terrible food, and barely made rent, but I kept learning. Coding, automation, optimization. I started freelancing on the side, then launched a small SaaS product that got picked up by a regional logistics company. That little product turned into my full-time business. And by 29, I was the founder of a growing software firm with 4 employees and 2 6-figure contracts on deck. I didn't post about it. I didn't brag. I wasn't active on social media. So when I got the call from my mom 3 months ago, it felt completely out of nowhere. "Hey, we need to talk. Can you come home for a bit?" I asked what was going on. She hesitated. Then said quietly, "It's your dad, and the house, and some other things." She didn't have to say it. They were in trouble. I hadn't been home in nearly 6 years. I expected awkward tension. I expected pity. I didn't expect desperation. My mom met me at the door. She looked older, thinner, her hair grayer than I remembered. She hugged me like she hadn't spoken to me in a decade, which honestly wasn't far from the truth. Inside, things felt off, quieter, dimmer. The living room, which was once the loud hub of family game nights, had unpaid bills stacked on the end table. The dining chairs were mismatched. 2 had clearly broken and been replaced by folding chairs. My dad came in slowly from the den. He looked like a man whose pride had been eaten away piece by piece. "Thanks for coming, son," he said, not quite meeting my eyes. We're in a bit of a mess." The short version? My dad had taken out a second mortgage 2 years ago when the family business, a modest home contracting company, hit a rough patch. He didn't tell anyone, just managed it, hoping things would turn around. They didn't. My brother, Jake, the golden child, had been managing the business after Dad semi-retired, but Jake wasn't great with finances. He overpromised on projects, mismanaged the payroll, and refused to let go of underperforming employees. Now they owed back taxes, had missed 3 mortgage payments, and the bank had started foreclosure proceedings. They needed $92,000 fast. At dinner that night, we sat around the same table I grew up at. It was just me, my parents, Jake, and my younger sister, Anna. Jake barely looked at me. Anna offered a polite smile, like I was some distant cousin visiting for the weekend. Eventually, my mom cleared her throat and said, "We wanted to talk to you because, well, we know you've done well, and we're proud of you." That was rich coming from the same people who used to tell me I'd never make it in the real world if I stayed glued to a computer. "What exactly are you asking?" I said. "Jake, jumped in. "A loan, just to get current on the house and taxes. We can pay you back." I raised an eyebrow. "With what money?" He went quiet. That's when my dad said the thing I never thought I'd hear. "We know we haven't always treated you the same, and maybe we didn't think you'd go far, but you did. And right now, we're hoping maybe you can help us stay afloat." There it was. No apology. No acknowledgement of how they'd made me feel for 20-something years. Just, "We didn't think you'd succeed. But now that you did, help us." I should have said no. I wanted to. But then I looked at my mom, at my dad, who looked more defeated than I'd ever seen him, and I realized something. I didn't want revenge. I wanted respect, and the best way to earn that from people like them was through results. I didn't agree to anything that night. Instead, I drove back to a hotel on the edge of town and did what I'd always done: research, plan, analyze. That house? One more month of missed payments and it'd be auctioned. The business? Bleeding money. No updated website, no social media, terrible client reviews. Practically no digital trail. In short, a disaster. The next morning, I sat across from my parents and said, "I'll help, but not as your son, as a consultant. If I get involved, I'm in charge. No arguing, no pushback." Jake scoffed. "We've been doing this for years. You think reading spreadsheets makes you the boss?" I looked at my dad. "You came to me. I'm the only reason this house isn't already sold at auction. Either I fix this my way, or you figure it out yourselves." There was a long silence. Then my dad nodded, defeated. "All right, you're in charge." I spent the next few days knee-deep in their books. They were terrible. Invoices sent months late, unpaid vendors, a huge warehouse leased but half used. No digital scheduling, no automation. So I got to work. I moved all their operations onto a project management system. I built a basic client portal, automated their invoicing, and had a website built with proper lead capture. I restructured their pricing tiers, renegotiated vendor rates, and shut down the expensive warehouse, moving operations to a smaller, shared space. I even found a CPA willing to work pro bono until they were stabilized. Jake hated it. He kept acting like it was a phase, like I'd do a few tech things and go back to wherever I came from until I made my biggest move yet. Called a family meeting, just like they used to have when I was a kid, except this time I was at the head of the table. I handed out a few sheets of paper. A new LLC proposal. "I'm restructuring the business under a new operating model," I said. "I'll be buying a 60% stake in the company for $1 and assuming all liability for its current debt." My dad blinked. "You're buying the company?" "Yes, and I'll be paying off the $92,000 balance you owe immediately." Silence. Jake looked furious. "You can't just take over Dad's company like it's some broken toy." I looked him straight in the eye. "It's not your company anymore. You ran it into the ground. I'm saving it." My dad didn't argue. Neither did my mom. They knew it was the only way out. 6 months, that's all it took. In 6 months, the company was solvent again. We were landing solid mid-sized contracts, had systems in place, a proper accountant, and, for the first time in a decade, actual savings in the bank. The employees who'd stuck around were getting regular paychecks. Clients were happy, and we'd even hired a full-time ops manager, someone who wasn't a family member. Jake? He quit 3 months in, said he felt pushed out. Truth was, he hated taking orders from the brother he used to mock. On his last day, he told me, "You were always the outsider. Guess you finally liked it enough to take over." I didn't say anything, just wished him luck. Anna drifted out of the picture after the first few weeks. She hadn't really been involved with the business anyway, and once I declined her passive-aggressive hint for a consulting fee, she stopped texting. But my parents? They started acting different, like I was worth listening to. Like I was finally someone to be proud of. They started telling people I was the the one who saved us. And maybe that should have made me feel good, but it didn't. Because deep down, I knew what they really meant was, we only love you now because you became useful. 3 weeks ago, we had a company celebration. Small, casual, just local contractors and a few clients we'd grown close with. During a toast, one of the newer employees joked, "I didn't even know this was a family business until someone told me." My dad raised his glass and said, "Well, it wasn't working until our son turned it into a real one." Everyone clapped. But for the first time, I didn't feel like I was chasing their approval. I didn't need it anymore. Last week, I signed a deal to expand into a second city, one that has nothing to do with my hometown. We're hiring new staff there, independent from the original crew. This morning, I sat down with my parents. I'm transferring daily operations here to the new ops manager. I'll still own it, but I won't be involved on site. It's yours, to run, within the system. They nodded, but before I left, I said one last thing. When I was growing up, you told me I wasn't like the rest of you, that I didn't fit in. They looked uncomfortable. And you were right. I wasn't. Paused. But it turns out that was the best thing about me.